Watching Mosu One laugh heartily, completely devoid of the Abyssal Emperor's true solemnity, Yun Chi III also burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha! Becoming sworn brothers with the Supreme Abyssal Emperor is a great fortune that others wouldn't even dare to dream of. Is there any reason for me to refuse? As he laughed, he quietly calmed the turbulent waves in his soul sea. Mosu's sudden proposal of sworn brotherhood was 5 parts sincerity, 5 parts probing. If his reaction had been even half a beat slower just now, and he had blurted out words of refusal, the outcome would have been completely different. The extent to which he mirrored Nike-Shuan IV determined how much weight he held in Mosu's eyes. In his gradually calming soul sea, Li Xiu's 5 voice rang out. You have woven so many such grand lies. Do you know that the person opposite you can annihilate you in an instant? If any one of these lies is exposed, the consequences could very well be eternal damnation. Therefore, at this moment, Yun Chi even had the leisure to respond to her. What I speak are lies that cannot be exposed. Back then, when I fell into the abyss, the Demon Empress 6 once said that my greatest advantage in the abyss would be the information gap. Naturally, I must exploit this to the extreme. In areas he knows or might know, I only give him the truth. And in areas I'm certain he cannot know, those are the lies I weave for him. Oh no, they are the cognitions I bestow upon him. Li Xiu said, he is Mosu and also the Abyssal Emperor. He possesses the most extensive knowledge and the most powerful spiritual perception in the abyss. You've only just met today, so why would he believe you so easily, even wanting to become sworn brothers with you? I cannot understand. Yun Chi slowly replied, the smallest reason is that he is the Abyssal Emperor. No one dares to lie in front of him. The second reason is that he never lacks people who look up to him, but he most lacks equals. He is the son of a creation god, and I am the successor of a creation god, and also the successor of his most respected elder brother. I am the only one in this world qualified to be his equal, and this equality he perhaps craves more than anyone else in this world, thus making him more willing to believe. And the biggest reason, I'll let him answer you personally. Li Xiuo. Yun Chi reined in his smile, speaking with a seemingly serious expression. Before we become sworn brothers, there's something I'm very curious about. You are the Supreme Abyssal Emperor, looking down upon the entire history of the Abyss. You must have witnessed countless truths and falsehoods, good and evil. Yet I, a mere imperial son of a divine kingdom, would resort to any means to achieve my goals, enough to be called despicable. Are you not afraid that I am someone filled with malicious intent? For example, are you not afraid that I might be relying on my master's grace, and presuming upon your affection for my master, to deliberately approach you, thereby borrowing the tiger's might 7 in this world, bullying men and women and causing chaos in all realms? Mosu looked at Yun Chi, his calm gaze now even more leveled with his. The person elder brother Nike-Shuan chose and entrusted everything to, I have no reason to doubt. Since you and I are brothers, if you wish to borrow my influence, I would naturally be delighted. His words were calm and sincere. In his soul sea, Yun Chi's voice, far more relaxed than before, rang out. See, that's the answer. Given his level of existence, he fears no one's intentions because no one can make him lose anything. But he, more than anyone else in this world, needs an equal. That kind of endless, terrifying loneliness, Yun Chi had only endured for a few short years, while Mosu had endured it for millions of years. Therefore, he knew perfectly well what Mosu most yearned for in those millions of years of solitude. Although, when Mosu uttered the words sworn brothers, he was indeed startled. Perhaps he had underestimated Mosu's feelings for Nike-Shuan. Perhaps he had underestimated the terrifying loneliness Mosu had endured for millions of years. Li Xiu remained silent for a long time, then silently gained a little more understanding of human emotions. Facing Mosu's gaze, Yun Chi smiled again, more genuinely than any time before. Good. With those words, you are my Mosu elder brother forever. I think if Master could see this scene, he would also be immensely relieved. The fragments of Nike-Shuan's memory clearly reflected his demeanor, gestures, and way of speaking. The self-suggestion in his soul that he was Nike-Shuan, and his words and actions increasingly presented a more natural shadow of Nike-Shuan. Good, Yun Chi. He called his name again, but this time it clearly carried human emotion. He raised his arm, but just as he lifted it halfway, there was an instant of stiffness, a shyness emerging from endless solitude. Yun Chi extended his hand before him, grasping his outstretched arm, his 5 fingers closing around it. Mosu elder brother. Mosu's palm finally clasped Yun Chi's arm. Their arms and auras intertwined seamlessly, giving each other the promise of mutual support. Yun-Chi, I am very happy, truly very happy. Me too, Yun-Chi said earnestly. Originally, I thought my face was peerless in the world, envied by all men. Suddenly seeing someone who surpasses me by 3 points was truly unpleasant. But if this person is my elder brother, then it doesn't matter. Mosu lowered his arm and smiled. Elder brother Naixuan's appearance was once praised as the best in all realms, unmatched by anyone. He often admired himself for it. But unfortunately, his appearance could charm all men and women in the world, yet it alone could not make Senior Li Xiu, whom he admired, even glance his way. I wonder if he eventually got his wish. Li Xiu. Yun-Chi would certainly not mention that Naixuan had long since shifted his affections to Jai Yuan 8. Nor could he tell him that Naixuan's repeated encouragement not to be bound by the forbidden love between gods and devils actually hid a faint trace of selfishness, because this would surely shatter Mosu's unwavering devotion filter for Naixuan. Life creation god Li Xiu. Yun-Chi softly uttered the name, saying, Master occasionally mentioned her but never spoke deeply, perhaps due to lingering regret. However, he raised his hand, and pure, sacred, white, profound light immediately shone from his palm, overflowing with a rich and pure aura of life. The white glow reflected in Mosu's eyes, and he recognized it at a glance. Life Divine Miracle 9 indeed, since elder brother Naixuan found a successor. He would certainly not bear to let Senior Li Xiu's creation god Art 10 vanish from the world. Naixuan's memory fragments clearly mentioned that creation gods did not keep their creation god Art's secret from each other. Just like Naixuan, who only took 400 years to cultivate the 99 swords of heaven shattering of the heaven-punishing divine Emperor Mo E11, and thus made Mo E owe him a wager. It was this wager that allowed Hunger and Yuer to exist to this day. Although the life divine miracle was a creation god art, it belonged to the life creation god and embodied compassion and universal love. Its cultivation difficulty was much lower than ordinary profound arts, but it had extremely strict prerequisites, a holy heart and light profound energy. Therefore, he was quite confident that Naixuan must have known about it, and might even have tried to cultivate the life divine miracle. And indeed, that was the case. Mosu even spoke of a past event that Yun-Chi was unaware of. Elder brother Naixuan once tried to cultivate the life divine miracle, hoping to win Senior Li Xiu's favor, but he never succeeded. I never expected that it would successfully shine with light profound energy on you. I imagine he must have been half sighing, half relieved at the time. Yun-Chi. Indeed. Facing the light profound energy displayed by Yun-Chi, Mosu's reaction was very calm. Perhaps only at the moment the light shone was there a fleeting, extremely slight surprise. After all, in the abyssal world, light profound energy had never been born, and his calmness completely exceeded Yun-Chi's expectations. He could calmly view the appearance of light profound energy, but why? Was he so indifferent to the life divine miracle, without a hint of joy or hope? Why? You. Why did you voluntarily expose your light profound energy? Li Xiu asked, puzzled. Yun-Chi calmed his mind, and after a short while responded. You should remember that in the Mist Sea, in order to gain Hua Qingying's trust as quickly as possible, I deliberately showed her my light profound energy. So this is no longer an absolute secret. My voluntarily exposing it is naturally far better than him learning it from elsewhere. Moreover, one of my biggest goals in meeting him in the Pure Land was to let him know that I possess the life divine miracle. It's just that his reaction was too strange, completely outside my expectations. Li Xiu roughly understood where the strangeness lay. A drowning person will try to grasp at any visible straw, let alone the life divine miracle which possesses the strongest healing ability in the world. Unless, you are wondering, Mosu's voice slowly sounded, why I am indifferent to the life divine miracle you displayed. Yes, Yun-Chi admitted frankly. Master told me many things about you. So I know your former identity, the reason you came to the abyssal world, and the daughter of Pan Ming 13 who caused the drastic change in your destiny. Pan Zio Dai 14, facing Mosu, he spoke that name and clearly saw the ripples of sorrow in his eyes. Mosu was silent. It had been too long since he had heard that name, etched into every corner of his soul from another person's mouth. Yun-Chi softened his voice. Is she doing well? She is well, Mosu replied without a trace of hesitation. She is just asleep, sleeping very deeply for a very long time. For these years, I have been searching for a way to wake her. But that method will not be the life divine miracle. Yun Chi's soul suddenly felt heavy, as if immersed in an endless deep sea, filled with pervasive sorrow and chilling desolation. If it's Mosu elder brother, no matter what, you will surely get your wish. He rationally changed the subject. Master also told me many other things about you, such as your divine father and your divine race. No need to speak of them to me. Mosu gave Yun Chi an answer that would surprise anyone. And from beginning to end, Mosu never asked Yun Chi a single question about the past he didn't know or any secrets that only Nai Xuan might know. Yun Chi thought for a moment and asked, "Do you still hate your divine father?" "No hate." The answer came without any hesitation, without any change in emotion or gaze. He had his stance and choices. I have my destiny and decisions. It's not about right or wrong, not about hate or not hate, it's just. None of it matters anymore. The current me can barely recall his appearance. His words were as calm as an ancient, waveless sea, as if stating something irrelevant about another person. Nai Xuan's end was regret. Mo Yi's end was soul devastation. The latter lived up to his mission, his divine name and his divine race, but only failed Mosu. Therefore, Mosu had the right to hate him. Yet what he presented was such extreme calmness, so calm that he had almost forgotten. And what he calmly overlooked and forgot was more than just his father. He didn't ask about Mo Yi, didn't ask about the changes in his divine race after he fell into the abyss. He asked nothing at all. Instead, he lowered his gaze and smiled at Yun Chi, saying, "Today, all the nations are present. I will announce our sworn brotherhood throughout the Pure Land and to all nations. From now on, no, 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 no." Yun Chi seemed startled, waving his hands frantically. "Absolutely not." "Why?" Mosu smiled faintly. "It's obvious." Yun Chi spread his hands, his expression slightly exaggerated. "If the world knew I was the Abyssal Emperor's brother, then everyone would revere and fear me. Even if they hated or despised me in their hearts, they would be respectful on the surface. Whatever I wanted would be within reach. Even if it belonged to others, a mere glance would make them obediently offer it. To achieve any goal, let alone effort, I wouldn't even need to lift a finger. Countless people would scramble to complete it for me to curry favor. In that case, life would have no enemies, no challenges or motivation, and no true friends or any pure, genuine emotions. How absurd, how boring life would become. Just thinking about it is frightening." The Abyssal Emperor's gaze seemed to deepen a fraction. "An expected answer. If you had agreed directly, I would have found it strange. You and elder brother Nai Xuan are truly too similar." Yun Chi quirked his lips, stating as a matter of course, "I cannot recall my past before I could dream. The first image in my memory is Master. My life, temperament, cognition, and even profound veins were all shaped by Master, so it's natural to be similar." He glanced sideways, seemingly with interest, saying, "Although I absolutely cannot let such a thing happen, putting aside my personal reasons as the Emperor of this abyss, your decision just now was truly too hasty, so hasty that even a child would find it unbelievable." "Why?" Mosu asked. "Even more obvious." Yun Chi slowly said, "This abyssal world was pioneered and developed by you over millions of years, with all your painstaking effort to reach its current prosperity. If you were to announce our sworn brotherhood to the world, Tusk." He shook his head, his eyes gleaming with a strange light, as if imagining something. "Then my status in the eyes of the world, even if not on par with yours, would not be far off. In that case, if I had even a slight ill intention, I could easily throw this peaceful and balanced abyssal world into utter chaos, causing great disorder. By then, it would be too late for you to regret. Such a thing, even the monarch of the most remote small country in the lowest-level birthlands would absolutely not do." Yun Chi spoke these words in a half-joking, half-teasing tone, thereby deepening his image as Nai Xuan's unrestrained and wild successor. Mosu looked at him and said calmly, "If you like, let alone causing chaos, what's the harm in annihilating this entire abyssal world?" Yun Chi suddenly looked up at him, meeting those same unruffled eyes. The shock in his gaze was not feigned in the slightest. "Or, if you like this world, then with just one word, I will hand over the title of Abyssal Emperor to you." Yun Chi opened his mouth, then suddenly let out a low laugh. "Ha ha ha, you, the Abyssal Emperor, would actually joke about the fate of the Abyss like this. If word got out, I'm afraid all the Abyssal Knights would drop their jaws." Mosu's gaze remained flawlessly sincere. "I am not joking. Since you call me Mosu elder brother, then everything I have can be given to you, including the Pure Land, including this world." Yun Chi stared directly into Mosu's eyes, trying to find any trace of falsehood or jest. But everything he presented was as pure and flawless as the surrounding aura. And when he spoke such world-shattering words, There wasn't even the slightest ripple in the surrounding aura. Why? During his solitude with the Abyssal Emperor, he had always successfully controlled the rhythm and guided Mosu's emotions, and everything had gone as he wished. No, the outcome of sworn brotherhood had actually far exceeded his expectations. But at this moment, he suddenly realized that he might not have truly seen the person before him. Facing his suspicious and astonished gaze, Mosu slowly closed his eyes, then turned around. "Yun Qi, come with me to a place." He did not move his feet, only gently waved his arm. Instantly, the world before them distorted and collapsed, revealing a completely different space. Yun Qi walked forward, standing side by side with Mosu, looking at the scene ahead with surprise. This was a transparent barrier, 10 feet long and wide, filled with chaotic destructive currents. And in the center of this barrier, another small barrier floated quietly. That small barrier was a regular sphere, only the size of a fist, but it was not transparent. Instead, it was a deep gray-red, making it impossible to glimpse anything within. Mosu's gaze pointed towards the spherical barrier, and he softly said, "I am the son of a creation god. In my blood flows a trace of creation power. However, this minuscule creation power is far from enough for me to create planets and life like a true creation god. And in the 99,100,000th year after falling into this world, I suddenly became able to wield this trace of creation power. So I used this power, spending 90,000 years to successfully create a small planet. It was that gray-red sphere. This planet, which I created with my own hands, I named it Paradise on the Other Shore 15. Yun Qi's heart stirred slightly. Paradise, Eden, cradle. He fell into a brief contemplation. Mosu gazed at his created paradise on the other shore, his voice gradually becoming ethereal. The son of a creation god is ultimately not a creation god. Being able to use these minuscule traces of creation power was already a great surprise. This tiny so-called planet, I could only bestow upon it the most basic laws of existence and the most basic life essence. But, in the years that followed, it gradually perfected its own laws and then gave birth to its first life. Yun Qi's eyes showed novelty. Later, life, driven by instinct, began to multiply, evolve, multiply again, evolve again. Thus, there were races, communities, and later, nations, independent continents. And then they began to explore a vaster world. So in their cognition, there were starfields and the universe. Yun Qi frowned, the novelty in his eyes gradually deepening into astonishment. Mosu continued. Life was multiplying and evolving, and the laws of the world were also changing. Gradually, elements and power emerged, and power under the wisdom of life also continuously evolved. Gradually, there were increasingly clear and vast differences in strength, status, and levels between different forms of life. Finally, those strong individuals at the highest level explored the boundaries of the world. They began to try to break through the boundaries with powerful forces, again and again, generation after generation. Finally, just 30,000 years ago, one life form succeeded, breaking open the edge of the world. And what greeted him was an irresistible aura of destruction. He could only retreat, and the gap in the world he opened closed in an instant. A storm began to brew in Yun Qi's heart. Mosu turned his gaze, looking into Yun Qi's eyes. Doesn't the boundary of that world resemble the Wall of Chaos 16? And doesn't the destructive aura that prevented them from leaving the world resemble the destructive storm outside the Wall of Chaos? Yun Qi was silent for a long time. The person who could break through the edge of the world was undoubtedly the supreme expert of that world. He thought that heaven and earth were beneath his feet, and all beings were only fit to bow to him. But he could never have imagined that his existence, in our eyes, was nothing more than a tiny ant. We could, with a mere flick of a finger, completely annihilate him and the world he inhabited. They wouldn't even have the strength to struggle for an instant. Then, he asked, are we also in such a world? Is our world merely someone else's paradise on the other shore? Are what we perceive as power and nobility nothing more than insects for others to observe and play with? Or perhaps we don't even count as real existences. Could it be that we are merely an illusion constructed by some high-level being? A fragment in a dream? Words in a book? Or perhaps a divine thought that could dissipate at any moment? Yun Qi opened his mouth, but no words came out. These were words of terror he had never heard, let alone imagined, too heavy and too terrifying, impacting all his cognitions. Sensing Yun Qi's violently trembling soul, he smiled. So do you understand? When one's cognition is higher, and one stands at a higher place, one will instead find that one's own existence, and the existence of the world are so minuscule. So minuscule that what was once thought to be vast creation is merely a handful of withered dust. So minuscule that life can barely accommodate one thing. Everything else, status, power, fame, desire, grievances, are all meaningless illusions. So, Yun Qi finally spoke, though with some difficulty. The current you, your life only accommodates one thing and everything else is meaningless. It used to be. Mo Su reached out and gently placed his hand on Yun Qi's shoulder. For me, your appearance is a great surprise. So for the rest of my life, besides that one thing, I now have a brother. He patted his shoulder lightly, then lowered his hand. Back then, I envied elder brother Nixuan's unrestrained and wild nature. Now I also envy your flamboyant and uninhibited spirit, but I am destined not to be able to do so. It's not that I don't want to, but that I have no spare energy and even less qualification. A smile was on his face, but what he said was heartbreaking. Meeting you has added a person to this world with whom I can confide and allowed me to let out a few truly hearty laughs. For me, that is already an almost transgressive luxury. Deep within the soul sea, Li Xiu's soft whisper sounded. Your heart is beating so violently. Yun Qi gently exhaled, slowly suppressing the various chaotic emotions in his heart. He did not try to persuade, but slowly nodded. I understand. You indulge my nature, and I naturally respect all of Elder Brother's choices. His lips moved, and he smiled again. When I was at Eden Cloud Peak 17, I found it strange that you never mentioned the Mist Emperor 18, who caused such a stir, shaking countless people's hearts with rumors in just a few years. It turns out you truly didn't care at all. In Yun Qi's suddenly frozen gaze, Mo Su's smile slowly faded. He tilted his head slightly and softly said, I cannot hide anything from you. What the Mist Emperor said was not a rumor. All of Yun Qi's soul strings tightened simultaneously. Wait, what was he saying? Not at all surprised by Yun Qi's shock, he slowly spoke. Although my name is Abyssal Emperor, I do not possess the ability to control the Abyssal Dust 19. It was the Mist Emperor who allowed the Abyssal Dust of this world to gather, forming the Mist Sea, thereby leaving behind numerous birthlands. It was also the Mist Emperor who kept the soulless abyssal beasts and abyssal ghosts within the Mist Sea, preventing them from encroaching upon the birthlands. Thus, the abyssal world as it is today came to be. Therefore, not a single word of what they said was a lie. Upon closer inspection now, one would notice Yun Qi's pupils slightly contracting. Mo Su looked ahead, continuing his calm whisper. Back then, the Mist Emperor and I made promises to each other, and their current anger is perhaps because my trajectory has deviated from their expectations. But it no longer matters.